Hey, YouTube. Hey, you watching me in the tube. Tubers. I'm in the tube and you're watching me. You're enjoying the YouTube that I'm creating. You're watching a YouTuber, but then I say, hi, YouTube. Wow. This is getting very complicated. Guys, welcome to my first response video episode. So I was browsing the YouTubes yesterday and came across Smash JT's video about whether his games are useless. Now, he went into detail about his retro gaming and how modern gaming in general is a little bit more alluring to him. There's been some other response videos to this, and I have to say, there's a common theme that I get out of this, and that is that there is no passion behind some of the games that are on the shelf, and I totally understand that. I want to make it very, very clear why I think games are not useless, especially retro games. The way I can relate it the best is that these retro video games behind me and in everybody else's game room who has a passion for retro video gaming, we do it for the nostalgia. And that is something that I think can't be talked about lightly. The reason is because there is so much crap going on in the world all the time that a lot of this stuff brings back fond memories, happy memories, times where you were able to enjoy yourself with your friends in simpler times. And I think that wave of almost a time capsule comes back and you're able to enjoy again, even for a moment, the things that made us happy, the things that we really enjoyed. Retro gamers, as you guys know, get flack all the time, especially a game collection like this that seems very childish, or it seems like the games themselves don't matter, or why video games or gaming in general shouldn't matter to us. Well, that's why it matters. It's not useless in the fact that it invokes a specific feeling that you get, which is awesome. I can relate it to vinyl. So if you haven't jumped back on vinyl, or if it's not something that you haven't collected over the years, vinyl is awesome. And the reason it's awesome is because you're able to have an experience. Retro video games are the exact same way. So the reason for me why games are not useless is because these are all experiences. Every single console that I boot up, plug in, set up, that's part of the gaming experience. Every single time that I put a game into a console, that's part of the gaming experience. Getting it to work, listening to the sounds of the machine. For God's sake, you throw in a Dreamcast game and it sounds like the thing's gonna rev up and blow up. Like these are things that are all part of the experience. It's the same thing when you're playing vinyl. You know, you have to flip a record to get after your next 4 or 5 tracks. You have to be able to set your needle down to play it. You're forced to go through the entire album the way the artist intended it. So I think with these video games, there's a lot of things that you miss when you get into specifically emulation. I think emulation is great for preservation. I think emulation is great when it comes to the convenience factor of being able to plug it in and you're good to go. If that's all you want is just to remember the game, more power to you. But people that are collecting retro video games, we have a lot more behind our reasoning than just to have it on the shelf. Every single game is important to us in one way or another. It could have hit a special time in your life. It brings you back to friendships. It brings you back to family. family, or it brings you back to a spot that in general gives you a reinvigorated energy to enjoy what we used to as kids. All right, example time. This game, this physical game. You know why this is important? Because you have to read the back of the box to play the game. And if you've played it, you know exactly why having the physical media is important. You cannot get past this game without having the box. It's just it. It is what it is, friends. I'm telling you. This is when you integrated having the physical media with the game. If you guys don't know, in Metal Gear Solid, the back of the box has your code to be able to talk to Meryl. The only way to find it is for you to have the box. Yes, you probably could have looked it up online, which would have taken about 5 or 6 minutes to load, but this is a prime example. Another example, Metal Gear Solid was the first time that I printed out my own strategy guide. That was the very first time I had ever printed it out. I bound it and clipped it, and it is very important to me. No, I stapled it. I don't remember. I exaggerated that. I definitely did not bind it. So the memory that comes along with this and having the case in conjunction is really, really important. And that makes complete sense to me. There's an example of why you need a little physical media in your life. So, next one. Virtua Fighter Remix. This was the first game that I ever bought for Japanese Sega Saturn. And I'll never get rid of it. I'm never going to sell it. I'm never going to part it out. It means too much to me. And for me to have this, for me to be able to open this up. But you know what I can't do with the digital game? I can't open this up and I can't thumb through the leaflet and look at all of the cool artwork. I can't look at any of the special moves. Can't do that. So the physical media and collecting the retro games has a lot more with it than just playing the game. It's important. This game right here, custom box for Iron Man EXO Manowar, is the very first custom box I ever made for Sega Saturn. It's crappy. It is like on terrible printer paper, but it's the first one that I ever made, and when I pick it up, I get the ah. Remember the time you made the really crappy box for this game? Let's throw the game in and have the experience. Why I'm looking at the crappy box. Like, it's all part of the experience that we get in collecting these retro video games. Guitar Hero 2. This is the first game. It might be Guitar Hero 2. This game brought me and my wife together, and that is the day that I realized that she was better at Guitar Hero than me. And it still makes me mad to this day. But I love the game because of that reason. I will not get rid of this game because I have such a fondness for us having such a good experience together playing Guitar Hero 2. And I can't get that from digital. I can't pull this game out and say, honey, you remember the time that we used to put this in and play all night before we had kids. There is just a lot of fun experiences that you get from having these physical cartridges. Galaxy 5000. I've talked about this game before. It's on my top 10 list. This is one of the first games we had on the NES. I have an old VHS video at my 6th birthday party of us playing this game with a bunch of friends. It's on the kitchen counter with a small TV, and we are throwing down on Galaxy 5000. That type of memory when I grab this cart matters because in that video was the exact same cart that was in there. I cannot get that from digital. So, that's what I'm trying to say. Back to the rant. I'm in a really specific situation here. I don't have a good internet source. So, playing modern games is the most frustrating thing for me. I throw in a new game and I instantly have to update it. I'm sitting on a slow internet connection, sometimes days before I can throw it in. Forget about playing Red Dead Redemption 2. That ain't gonna happen. So I think that there is it's almost more than a niche fit for these retro video games. They have a place in our heart for a lot of different things, but for us to be able to grab it and pull it off the shelf. It's the same reason why we yearn for a Blockbuster to come back, or why we enjoyed going out on Friday night and shopping the wall of movies or games. There is something tangible about holding a cart or a disc or a cover art plastic box in your hand. It gives you memories. It gives you a feeling of tangibility, of something substantial. In this digital realm, perfect example, my PS3. I hadn't played it for a really long time. I just recently booted it up, and 3 or 4 games in, all of them were expired content. I wasn't able to use it. I wasn't able to play it even when I updated it. These are the things that happen with digital. That stuff can be wiped away in an instant, and it's very, very different than you being able to grab a game off the shelf and enjoy that experience. I had different eras in my life. There's eras where I was really, really into my Sega. Eras where I got to jump into Super Nintendo for the first time late in the game. My first Xbox was given to me by my friends as a birthday present. So all of this stuff, as you hold it up, it matters. And a lot of this stuff matters for people the same way they would for any type of collector. You collect cars, you collect coins, you collect these things because it gives you joy in having the physical representation of something that makes you happy. And that's it. I think that at its core, that is the most important thing, is that these things give you joy. And if there is stuff that you don't play and you don't care about, I completely understand getting that wiped out, but that doesn't necessarily mean it was useless. It means you got what you needed out of it, and then you're moving on to the next thing that gives you joy. And that is 100% okay. You don't need a huge game room to enjoy the video games, but I understand the need to collect all of these physical games, as each one has its own story behind it. And that's awesome. So that's my response video, guys. If you like what I got going on and you enjoy my stupid content, even though this one was a little bit more mushy, please think about subscribing. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. I'm getting close to that 100 mark. It means a lot. So thank you guys very much. Until next time, bye.